we were ripped off by every nation in the world, and some of the worst rippers were our so-called allies, people countries that we supposedly get along with, but they're the ones that took advantage of us on trade at a level like, I mean, I ended some of the dumbest trade deals I've ever seen and made them much better for the country. I mean, what difference does it make? I took a terrible trade deal, would make it a good trade deal. But like Japan, I redid the trade deal. South Korea, I did the trade deal. The deals. I went to Abe of Japan. I said, Shinzo, he was assassinated. He was as you probably know, he's incredible, great man. He was a great leader for the people. They loved him. I said, Shinzo, look, we can't do this. The trade deal is so bad. We're friends, but I have to renegotiate the trade deal. And he said to me, I knew that would happen. I said, why did you know? Because you're right. It's so one-sided.
Wow.
It's like, he said, I knew you'd catch us. But they went through many presidents where Japan was, as an example, they'll send us millions of cars. We're not allowed to send them any. They send us their farm product. We were sending them practically nothing. It was like a one-way. Everything was one way. And by the way, virtually China was the worst, but there were many countries almost as bad. The European Union was almost as bad, in my opinion. You know, that sounds nice. Oh, the European Union is so nice. They were ruthless in their trading. And I said to Angela Merkel, how many Chevrolets do we have in the middle of Berlin? Why? I don't believe any. I said, you're right. And yet we take in all of that. We take in Mercedes-Benz and BMW, and we take in all of this Volkswagen. We're taking in all of these millions and millions of cars. I say, how many American cars are in the middle of Munich or Berlin? And the answer is none. And I had things change around. So, you could say, I think that the answer would be, at this moment, Iran. And I think they could catch him. And if we had a real president, which we don't have a real president. We have a man that is grossly inept, and it's very dangerous because these guys are all at the top of their game. When you talk about President Xi and you talk about any one of the leaders in the world, Macron, and he's a smart guy. He's all for France. I mean, he would take the shirt off your back if you didn't know what you were doing.
So when you're with these guys, are these guys all sharks?
Yeah.
And you can sense the energy immediately?
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them aren't sharks in terms.
How are you assessing personality?
Okay,
when you
well,
meet them?
I can tell you, like,
Great.
Modi, India.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. He's great. He's the nicest.
India.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you. Do you like him or not?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
I have family on both sides of it.
Okay,
I have
well,
family
let me
that
tell
loves everything and family
I'll just
that's
tell
not.
you, though. You meet him. I know. Well, they had, before him, they were replacing him every year. It was very unstable. He came along.
He's in a lot.
He's great. He's a friend of mine. But on the outside, he looks like he's your father. He's the nicest, total killer. Because I asked him,
Yeah.
we're talking, they did a thing called Howdy Modi in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And they filled up the stadium. It was me and him. Yeah. We filled up the stadium. It was beautiful. Like 80,000 people. It was going crazy. And we're walking around today. Maybe I wouldn't be as, maybe you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But we're walking in the middle, waving to everybody. Anyway, but we have a very good relationship. He's the nicest human being. But we had a couple of occasions where somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. Then I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
Wow.
He was talking about a certain country. Okay?
Yeah.
You can probably guess the country.
Yeah. Can't fathom which.
You know the country.
Yeah.
But I said, whoa, what happened there? What happened? So, no, they're all tough and they're all smart. And some are very good people. He's a good person. There's some are good people and some aren't good people. But they're all at the top of their game. And we have her, who is now more important than him, I guess, although he's still president of this country. And we're talking about nuclear war, and he's not capable. He doesn't even know what it is.
Yeah.
He said yesterday, when they talked about should they hit Iran's nuclear, no, you shouldn't do that. I said, no, it's sort of just the opposite. Because the nuclear is the biggest threat we have in the world today. It's not global warming where the oceans are rising 1/8 of an inch in the next 500 years.
Right.
The threat that we have, the biggest threat is nuclear war.
Yeah.
You seem
Because-
concerned about that.
I am because it only takes one. I am.
Very true.
There are 5 countries now that have capability, and soon they'll have more. And we shouldn't let there be more. And I was at a point very good, despite the Russia hoax. It was a total hoax, and we were totally exonerated and everything else. I could have told them that the first day, but that causes a lot of problems. A lot of problems, and they're a big nuclear power. We were close to a deal for getting rid of nuclear weapons. It would be so good.
For all countries or just Russia?
We were talking about Russia, ourselves, and China.
Oh, wow.
And we would then bring everyone else into it. And
So you all
strongly.
would get rid of your nuclear capabilities.
denuclearize, yes. We were going to get rid
Totally
of
denuclearized.
nuclear because it's too powerful.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
My uncle, Dr. John Trump, was
Country doctor.
Yeah, Dr. John Trump. Well, he was a nuclear doctor, actually. He was at MIT. He's the longest-serving professor at MIT. He passed away, great guy. He was a brilliant guy, a brilliant scientist. And he used to tell me, he said, a long time ago, he'd say, Donald, someday it's very dangerous. Somebody will be able to carry a small briefcase into a building in New York and blow up the entire city.
Oh, wow.
I said, you got to be kidding me, Uncle John. That will never happen. He was like a really brilliant guy. He was there for, I think, 41 years. He's the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT.
Oh, wow.
So when I understand physics and when I understand things well, they say, how come there's good genetics. I'm a believer. Are you guys believers in that? Were your parents funny? Were they comedians?
Yeah, my mom's side was is Scottish. And,
Fellow Scottish, yeah.
Oh.
Scottish women tend to be
My mom.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
And she was great.
Is that where you get your humor
Yeah,
from?
well, I'll tell you what. England at the time, they fought them for 1,000 years trying to get them under tow. They couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
They're very tough. That reminds me of my mother, come to think of it. Now, my mother was great. She was Stornoway, the Hebrides, right? That's really serious Scottish.
Yeah.
But she was great. But it is true, when you see Braveheart, that was one of many times, for hundreds of years.
Did you watch that with your mom by any chance?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to. I'll tell you, I saw Braveheart. I think Mel Gibson is a very good guy. I've met him a number of times. Good guy. But out there, that was super Mel Gibson in his prime.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
and I was on a plane, and there was absolutely nothing to do. It was one of these planes that you couldn't make calls, you couldn't do, and they had tapes.
That's all planes for us.
And they showed me they showed me, sir, we have 20 tapes. And I looked at the tapes, and they were all, and this was like 20 years after it was made. This was probably 6 years ago. I never saw Braveheart.
Okay.
And they showed me a tape. I said, all right, let's put that one on. And within about 4 minutes, I said, this may be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Within 4 minutes.
No, I'm a Braveheart fan. But you've seen it.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I saw it with my mom. She was emotional for like a week.
I wish I saw it with my mother. But it was great.
Was that your Braveheart moment, like after getting shot when you stood up?
No. You don't,
never
you
take
don't
my
think
freedom.
of that in those moments. You do what you do.
Yeah, thank God you weren't thinking about Mel Gibson.
No, but he's good. But he was, when he in prime time, he was great.
Unbelievable.
I mean, at that,
run.
his look, his way, you couldn't have had a better guy playing it. But that was a great movie. So, but it is true, England, and
Scotland fought
at
for
the
years.
time, for 1,000 years. I mean, they'd have the battles where thousands or once at thousands, and they run at each other. Tell me that. You think that takes guts? They run at each other.
I think so.
Knowing they're going to pretty much die, right?
The Roman army built walls to keep out the Scottish when they were up in England.
Yeah. They were afraid of the Scottish.
They were afraid.
The Scottish people, they're tough people. They're good people. Actually, they're very great people, but they're good fighters.
But your mom was funny.
She was funny, yes.
That's what I hear. I
She
hear
she had a great sense of humor, and my father loved my mother. They were married for...
Yeah. Polar opposites, though?
Yeah, my father was German,
Serious.
serious, but good. He was a tough guy, but he had a good heart. When he walked down the street, and they would say we could walk down the street, he would always give something to... if there was somebody that had problems, they used to have the can and a pencil, the can out. My father would always put $100 in that thing.
Oh, wow.
He'd always do it. Now, he had a tremendous heart, but he was a tough guy. He was tough. He was just like no nonsense. It was firm. My mother was a woman, and I don't know how your mother felt, but she loved the Queen. Don't forget, the Queen was, the Queen was great. Oh, would she have liked, because the Queen honored me before she died. She
Really?
honored me as the president in Buckingham Palace. And there's nobody that does it like the English. There's nobody that has that, the pomp and ceremony. But my mother would have loved that. Your mother, so did she feel strongly about like the royalty?
I think they're obsessed with the royal family out there, like in general.
Your mother would have been.
She was really into all the pageantry for sure.
My mother was.
Yeah.
My mother thought the Queen was great.
Yeah.
She thought the Queen was so wonderful.
Some of my family hates the English, though. I will be honest.
I know.
There's some history there.
I know. But a lot of it's a hard breakup. They tried to break up Scotland from the rest of the empire, so to speak.
Because they got some oil.
And it made it by about like a half a point.
Yeah.
They kept it together, so I hope it stays together. I hope it always stays together. But England, as they say, because it used to be England, but England never could. And they were bigger.
Yeah.
And they had more people.
Yeah.
They could never finish it off by capturing Scotland. So it's really sort of.
They ended up having to marry together.
They married.
Yeah.
They became sort of subsidiaries, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But it was great. That's interesting with your mother.